Ave Legion and welcome to my channel. My name is Ludi and today we'll be doing our EU4 1.30 Timurids Starting Moves Guide. In this guide, we'll be going over the estates and economy, diplomacy and rivals, how to keep your vassals loyal, your army and war preparations, the initial war with Ajam and the wars you need to form the Mughals fast, your missions and expansion paths, as well as the ideas you should be going for. Before we start the video, don't forget to leave a like and comment and subscribe. Make sure you leave the bell button on. If we can get this video to 400 likes, I'm gonna do another giveaway for a Paradox game. So let's get this started. When it comes to the estates, the first thing you always want to do is summon the diet and then go for whichever agenda best suits you at the particular time. Afterwards, we're gonna seize land from the estates, thus getting rid of the crownland's negative modifier that we start off with. Then when we go to the amirs, the privileges, then we're gonna give them our supremacy over the crown, monopoly on livestock and gemstones, as well as the strong duchies. This is extremely important for the Timurids because you start off with 5 very large vassals and you need to keep them in check, so this is going to give them minus 10 liberty desire, and you also get plus 2 diplo relation slots, so you can get some allies that can help you as well to keep these vassals in check. The ulema will get the oversight by the ulema as well as monopolies on incense and wool, whilst the merchants guild are going to get the free enterprises, monopoly on dyes and paper, as well as the exclusive trade rights. And last but not least, the dhimmis are going to get the promote the dhimmi nobles. That's going to give you leaders without upkeep +1. The reason we gave so many monopolies is quite simply because we gain 9 mercantilism from these, and by reenacting these monopolies every 10 years, by the 1500s we actually are going to have 100% mercantilism. And since we are the major power in the Persian trade node, and eventually we will have all of the Persian trade node, we can actually stop most of the trade from going into Europe and thus destroy the European economies, as they're not getting as much trade from the Asian parts of the world as they would otherwise be getting. Since we're at the trade interface, we are not going to be changing anything here. When discussing your rivals, the Timurids are always going to get rivaled by the Mamelukes and Uzbeks, so you should return the favor and rival them back. But the third rival slot, you have Delhi available. Do not rival Delhi. You're going to have to rival Ajam, as this is going to be your first war. However, it doesn't show that Ajam is a valid option, but after you wait for a few days and 1 month passes, actually, you're going to see Ajam as an option. So wait for 1 month and then you can rival Ajam, since we're going to be declaring war on them, as we have cores on all of their nation here, so we want to take our cores back. Since we gave the strong duchies privilege, we also have 2 more diplo relation slots, and we need to choose our allies now. You definitely have quite a few choices for allies, I have to be honest. What you really want to get, however, is the Ottomans. You could get the Ottomans if you improve relations, but before that happens, I recommend allying any of the larger nations that you can ally, since you want to improve the overall power projection that you have, as it's going to help lowering the liberty desire with all of your vassals. I would recommend the Great Horde. They usually are a great option to go for, as well as either Chagatai or some of the Indian miners, but whichever Indian miner you do choose, make sure they don't border Delhi, as we want to take lands in Sirhind and Delhi as well as Multan. So if, for example, you ally Jaunpur, which will definitely be an option, they might attack Delhi and call you in, which is something you don't want. So I recommend a smaller nation to the south of them, such as Sindh. We're getting these alliances temporarily until we get bigger allies. So to give you a bit of an insight in your starting situation, Timurids start off with a 67-year-old ruler named Grand Sultan Shah Rukh Timurid, and he has 5 vassals. All of these vassals are also part of his family, apparently. They're all seriously strong, and you also have cores on all of these vassals. Well, most of these vassals except Sistan. So if you manage to get to 1454, you can integrate them quite easily in 1 month. So you just have to make it to 1454 to integrate your vassals and then become a massive blob of a nation that pretty much encompasses all of this region. The tough part is that your vassals have serious problems with loyalty here. The only thing keeping them in check is this country modifier, Empire of Shah Rukh, which gives minus 50% liberty desire. Now once Shah Rukh dies, you don't have this modifier anymore. So in order to keep your vassals in check, you need to get strong. And the first thing you need to do in order to get strong is get your other cores on Ajam and Ludistan. So Ajam and their vassal Ludistan, you basically have cores on all of their provinces. So on the 11th of December 1444, you should declare war on them and take all your cores before the Shah dies. You need to rush with this because he's 67 years old. The chances of a monarch dying increase with age. After he's about 70, it's like 33 to 35%. So you really have a couple of years before that happens. So you want to rush the war with the Ajam and finish it as fast as you can so you can increase your strength. The other thing you should be doing is getting royal marriages. If they're disloyal, they're not going to give you a royal marriage, but some of them start off as loyal. So you should joggle your initial few days, and once you get your diplomats back from wherever you sent them, you should start getting royal marriages with all of your vassals. That should be your very first move when dealing with the vassals that you have. You're going to be able to get royal marriages with Fars, Khorasan, Sistan, and Afghanistan. Transoxiana is not going to give you a royal marriage because they are still disloyal. But here's the ace up our sleeve. It's our government type. We can get efficient tax farming or land acquisition, or we can get lenient taxation, which is going to give for 20 years minus 15% liberty desire and subjects. Stack this up with the privilege that we previously gave that gave us another minus 10% liberty desire, and you also fulfill your mission, which is have all subjects at below 40% liberty desire. It's going to give us 60 military power and 10 prestige. That's going to help as well. In order to prepare for the war with the Ajam, just set them all to attack the enemy. This will help you out considerably and make the war a lot faster. Another thing you should be doing is taking all three of the decisions that you start off with. It's good to go towards legalism. It is the best option when choosing between legalism and mysticism, since it gives you tech cost reduction, tax modifier, manpower modifier, and loyalty with the ulema. If at some point they are still super disloyal, you have another ace up your sleeve, which is deving up their provinces. If you dev up one of your vassals' provinces, it decreases the liberty desire by 5%. So make sure you have some extra points lying around, and whenever needed, just dev up their provinces so they become less disloyal. You just need to keep this until 1454, when you will be able to integrate Transoxiana, Khorasan, Fars, and Afghanistan within 1 month. Other things that you could do to make sure your vassals are kept in check. You could also get diplomatic relations, guys. On the 11th of December, we will be declaring war on Ajam, so do get your armies ready. So in order to get ready for the war with Ajam, we're going to recruit the Free Company in Yazd, and we're going to send our units to Ardakan and to Dashtistan. This is so we can attack Luristan at the same time that we're attacking Ajam. Remember before attacking Ajam that we also need to set them as our rival, as that's going to give us some power projection, which will also help us out. So with them as our new rival here, we're gonna set the war goal for one of our own core provinces. Semnan would be the best because it's closer to us. And let's declare war on Ajam. Around the 15th of December, when your diplomats are back, remember to also start improving relations with the nations that you can start improving. And since your force limit is up to maximum, you also can get one of your missions done. Another thing I recommend doing is influencing nations. You can use the influence nations since you are a great power, and this also is going to give you a lot of relations with your nations, and it's going to do it a lot faster than simply improving relations. Also, no matter how tempted you are, do not put Kanaruk as a commander, as that is basically suicide. Remember to have your vassals set to siege down the enemy provinces, as they're going to be doing most of the heavy lifting for you. Also, around this time, remember to start improving relations with the Ottomans, and around this time you should have already 200 relations with most of your vassals. Always remember to change your diplomats. Never keep your diplomats in one place for too long. You want to get all of these nations to 200 by the time you finish the war with Ajam. In the peace treaty, you're not going to be able to take over all of their provinces, but you should take as many as you possibly can. This layout gives you 100% war score and the highest amount of provinces, and I personally think it is the best option. This also lets you expand Timurids, that gives you a bit of extra dev, which also helps towards keeping your vassals in check. I also recommend increasing the stability whenever you can. You can get a stability reduction advisor, since you already have pretty bad religious unity and thus your stability is more expensive. If we stack up enough modifiers after our ruler dies and we lose the 50% Empire of Shah Rukh buff that we start off with, they should still be okay. But remember, if they're not, you can always just dev up some of their provinces so they don't break away from us. Remember to turn the newly added states into full cores, as that will definitely get you way stronger, and all of your vassals should have 0% liberty desire by this point. If you started improving relations with the Ottomans during the war with Ajam, you should be able to get an alliance with them by now, and I recommend going for that and cancelling the improved relations guide that you have there. Sometimes Karakoyunlu attacks Ajam and they start taking over whatever is left. If that is the case, we are gonna take over our cores from Karakoyunlu without having to wait for the truce to expire. Shahrukh has passed away, and as such we lost the modifier, but all of our vassals except Transoxiana are loyal. But to keep Transoxiana in check, what we're going to do is we're going to dev up the province of Tashkent, which is the cheapest one to dev up. Do it once and you'll see that you don't have to worry about disloyal Transoxiana anymore. Make sure you are paused when this happens, as even waiting for 1 month might make one of your rivals support their independence, and that means that they're going to have a lot of liberty desire, so you're not going to be able to keep them in check anymore. Whenever you get the admin points required, you should go for stability 2, which is gonna give you the stabilized Timurids mission. Hiring mainly mercenary companies during the beginning part of the game means that your manpower is gonna increase considerably, and you can still stay at maximum land force limit. So that's gonna give us the prepare for war mission, which in turn is going to give us claims on the northern part of India here, and we want to take these claims as soon as possible since we want to form the Mughals. Having a strong army and doing all the other things I mentioned should keep all of your vassals in check, which means you're going to use them to win these wars for you. Also would like to point out that 2 of your starting advisors are scripted and they are 50% cheaper, namely Jami and Mahmud Haidar. So you should always get these 2, seeing as your economy can definitely support them, as you're getting a 5.26 ducats just from your vassals. So we'll be declaring war on Multan first for the few provinces in the north that are going to link us with the rest of Delhi. During the war, try to use your mercenaries as much as possible so that you don't lose your precious manpower and actual troops. Whilst at war with Multan, you can declare war on Delhi as well. Usually their allies do not join if they are busy in other wars, or if you have good relations with them, such as the case with Sindh. But even if they do join, it's not a big deal because you're a big ass nation. After you peace out Multan, just take the top 2 provinces that can link you over to Delhi, as you're gonna have to take 5 provinces from Delhi to form the Mughals. But the problem is, in one war, this would be extremely expensive, and you will definitely have a coalition afterwards. If you're not sure you can deal with the coalition, and I also don't recommend dealing with the coalition, you can just take a shortcut and a Lahore. If you have enough prestige, you might even be able to take Samana without having too much of a big coalition. You can also sit on this for a couple of years and just wait it out, but that will increase your war exhaustion, and it's gonna mean that you cannot integrate your vassals. So as previously mentioned, you can integrate your vassals in 1454 in 1 month. After we get our diplomats back, make sure you start integrating Khorasan as well, and in the 2nd month we're gonna get Khorasan integrated also. There you go. Now we have pretty much all our vassals integrated, but we did get the annexed subject Diplo Rep -3 modifier until 64. So annexing Sixtan is gonna be a bit of an issue, especially since we dropped the relations from annexing the other vassals. You should start making full cores from all of your newly added provinces. Having an army that is 40,000 large means that we get a claim on Lahore and the Sindh Sagar area. After you've made all of your new states full cores, wait for 1 month to see how much land force limit you can have, and you should be having around 56,000 maximum. That means that you're over the force limit, so I recommend disbanding the mercenary companies that you were previously hiring. After your 2nd war against Delhi, or whoever controls the area that was once Delhi, sometimes Multan or Jaunpur decides to take over what was left of Delhi after we finish them off, you should take over the provinces of Samana, Patiana, and Delhi. If you have enough aggressive expansion so you don't have a massive coalition, you might even be able to take a few more provinces, as well as take some money and peace them out. Then we have all the provinces that we need to form the Mughals. All that we need to do now is wait to core up Delhi, and afterwards we can switch on over to the Mughals. After we finish coring Delhi, we can form the Mughal Empire, and we're gonna get their new mission tree as well as their awesome ideas. So the Mughal mission trees are absolutely insane. They have so many conquest missions, and you can basically get all of India with this mission tree by itself. The Mughal ideas are insane also. They got 5 discipline, -10 idea cost, military policies for free +1, national tax and stability, but also they get -5 tech, -25 core creation cost, and +20 cavalry combat ability. The thing is, if you do form the Mughals, this is one of the best nations to start your first world conquest as. And since we're talking about world conquest, if you do plan on going for a world conquest as this nation, then I recommend going for admin ideas first, since if you stack up the -25 from admin for coring provinces with the 25 that you have from your own national ideas, then it's going to be insanely cheap coring India first and then the rest of the world as you go along. If you're not going for a world conquest and you want to have a bit of a more chill game, then I'd suggest going for religious first. But even if you go for a world conquest and you take religious, it's not bad since you can use the CB they have. If you have a lot of military points and you don't have that many admin points and you feel like you should go for a military idea first, then I recommend going for offensive, as it has a mixture of everything you need: land leader shock, land leader fire, as well as siege ability +20, land force limit to boost your already massive army, as well as some discipline to make it harder to defeat. Switching on over to the Mughals means that you're actually gonna be getting a brand new estates mechanic. So you now have 5 estates, which means that eventually you can get +500 governing capacity simply from having given the privileges to the 5 estates that you now have. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, then leave a like, comment, and subscribe, as well as leave the bell button on to get notified whenever I release new videos. And I also want to thank my patrons. If you'd like to become a patron, then you can check the link in the description. And until the next one, have a great day.